Hello, everyone. My name is Denise Harlow. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the National Community Action Partnership, and we are so excited to be with you here today as we launch our National Impact Report. We're very excited to get this into the hands of community action agencies, state associations, and state CSBG offices. This project has been a long time coming, and we're really excited to be able to release it to the network. As you know, the work of community action is diverse as we look across this country. Um, and many agencies say to me when I'm on the road, Denise, how come people don't know what community action does, why they don't know our name? What can you do to help elevate the visibility of community action? And while this report is not a fix-all, it's not going to change everything overnight, we think it's hopefully a step in the right direction to give community action the attention that it truly deserves. Because as you know, it's a crowded and confusing space out there. There are a lot of different groups that do really great work in the community. And people know the YWCA, they know NeighborWorks, they know the Red Cross, and people really want to know community action. We have over 1,000 local agencies across this country working to solve community problems every day and helping families achieve economic security. So we want to find a way to elevate the visibility of this high impact network. So this report is the first step, is a step in that process. We are calling it Building Opportunity for All. We believe that is what community action does every day. And this report is built in a way that we think does the best possible framing. We talked to communications folks, we talked to framing people, and we took the advice of Lee Shore. And many of you know Lee. She has spoken over the years at many partnership events. She talks about no data without stories, and no stories without data. You got to have the numbers, but you got to have the frame of reference and the stories about real people. And this report blends those key concepts together. We lay out the report where in each concept area we talk about the need that we're facing. We're talking about the reach of community action, which is incredibly broad and incredibly deep when it comes to society's problems and issues and concerns, and our impact. We don't want to just talk about outputs. We want to talk about outcomes. And we're making a difference every day across this country. And we know community action agencies are collecting a lot of data. And this report uses the data that you report on the outcomes the families working with you achieve every day. And so we're putting those numbers to use. We're also using data from the U.S. Census Bureau, among other sources, to help frame the concerns that are going on right now. So this report is laid out. You can see here it's very professionally done. It's a lot of pictures, very slippery paper. It looks nice. And it is meant to be to an external audience. It is meant to be for policymakers and foundations and the general public to learn more about what we do. It can't say everything that we're doing, or else we'd end up with an encyclopedia of materials. We need something that's short and concise and easy to read. So first, how did this happen? How did we get this project off the ground? And our sponsors are really key. And first, it's the membership of the Community Action Partnership. Your member dues made this happen, as well as your attendance and support of our events. The board agreed to take resources from our reserves and invest it in a communications consultant, printing, design, bringing people together to make sure it was a professional report. In addition, Mutual of America, who we work with retirement programs for local agencies and at the partnership, said, Denise, we want to help you tell the story. We want to support you financially to help get this project launched. So thank you to Mutual of America for their support as well. You'll see here the flip chart page in the upper left-hand corner, those squiggles. Kenny, one of our key consultants, came in almost over a year ago probably and said, Denise, one of our key recommendations from our strategic comms plan we gave you was you need to do a report like this. It's made a difference for other organizations. It will make a difference for you. So she mapped it out. We went from that drawing to this report, which is very exciting. I can now throw away that sheet of paper that's been hanging up on my wall. I will say we used an advisory committee, and that was so important. You cannot do anything just inside the Beltway. We need and believe that it is to be a community action process in community action. So we had an advisory committee that we brought to D.C. We brought them here in April. We talked about a model of the report that we thought kind of made sense, that we would have a national picture and then talk about the regional impact. And the committee said, no, that's not how we talk about ourselves, Denise. We really want to talk about certain domains or certain frames like asset building, children and families, jobs, health and well-being. We said we can make that shift. It did delay the process, but it made it a usable, practical tool for all of you. And again, we engaged professional services. And at some point you're like, couldn't we have just written this ourselves? It wouldn't look like this, and it wouldn't be as tight and succinct as this is. So those professional services make a huge difference. So thank you to Springboard Partners for your help. And Kenny is still working with us in some ways as now as a private consultant. But all three, Ed, India, and Kenny have just been fabulous to work with at Springboard. So thank you to them. This is the advisory committee, a blend of local agencies, state associations, and national partners. So you'll see NASCAP there engaged, and we did invite NCAF and CAPLAW to attend. So we did have it open to the national partners. We had a variety of agencies and associations. So we had a public, we had small, large, rural, urban, suburban, had tried to have a variety of perspectives at the table. This is the first spread in the report. You'll see here we have really beautiful pictures in the report. We have a blend of stock pictures that we've paid for, as well as pictures from local agencies. We try to do a blend. We want to make sure we're able to tell stories in a way that are reflective of our local agencies. So you'll see here very happy people as well, where this is a report about hope and opportunity. We try to make sure that we're being positive and offering that spirit of hope that the Community Action Partnership's promise truly embodies. So you'll see here how it's framed. We framed the national need. Nearly 40 million people living in poverty. We went right to the most recent Census Bureau's report. It's 39 point something, so it's nearly 40 million folks living in poverty. 1.6 kids go hungry every night. You see the numbers here. We talk about the reach, the breadth, 1,000 local agencies, coast to coast, 99% of all America's counties, including D.C., Puerto Rico. We have the trust territories. Everybody's covered. And the variety and the racial and ethnic makeup of the folks that we serve every year. This is a spread that talks about asset building. This is the first spread in the book. You'll see Mr. Kennedy over here on the right-hand side. He is the actual customer of Wayne County Community Action, and I got to hear Mr. Kennedy speak at their recent annual luncheon, which was fabulous. His energy level was fantastic, and he was just wonderful to hear about how him working with Wayne Metro Community Action helped him stabilize economically, and he was able to save his family's home, which was a great story to hear. You'll see here we have the national need, our reach, and our annual impact. In our toolkit that you can use, you will have those little, you see the little picture of the bank, you see a little calendar, you see the little arrow, you see the fonts, you see the colors. We have the fonts and the colors specified, so your communications people can copy and paste, do what they need to do to make the magic happen. Even some lay people, we'll show you later, have been able to take these and make their own memes, their own Facebook posts, whatever. We hope that some agencies will take this and use it in your annual reports, for instance, or your packets that you're taking to Congress when you're talking about the value of your organization and community action. So you'll see a lot of these layouts as we go forward. The next spread is children and families. This is a big space for community action, right? We touched the lives of more than 6 million families last year, serving 3.9 million kids. You'll see here again the national need, our reach, and our impact. When you look at the need, we don't have a special carve-out for racial equity. We believe in community action that racial equity is built into the sauce. It's cooked into the sauce, I guess, is the right way to frame it. It's part of everything we do. It's not a carve-out, it's not a set-aside. So you'll see throughout the report where we talk about the racial and ethnic disparities when it comes to poverty. And you'll see here when it comes to kids, 19% of kids live in poverty, but 34% of African American children live in poverty. 34% of Native American and 28% of Latino children live in poverty. So trying to reflect that disparity in our country. All the little, again, the graphics the kids playing, all those are available so you can make your report resemble ours. Now, are we saying it has to match exactly? No, but you can use elements that will help it connect. make it look like it's part of the same family. You'll see on the right-hand side we use a story from Garrett County Community Action. That is a stock photo, I believe, that we're using there. Garrett County is a national leader on 2Gen. The foundation world sees Garrett County as a leader in 2Gen. So we were very specific about going to them saying, can we use a story from Garrett County as the story in this spread? But hopefully, if you look at your own statewide report, perhaps, you can use an agency in your state. Use a story from them around children or families with their pictures, your stats. A lot of different ways to use this report. Community building. This part of the community building spread is about volunteering. The story on the right-hand side, you can see people stuffing the backpacks before school. You know, you have all those stuff the bus activities in August before school gets started. All the volunteers in your community are collecting school supplies, banks, scout troops, all sorts of groups are engaged. Now, again, this is an external report, so we want the external world to see themselves helping and being part of community action. Many folks may be engaged in volunteering in community action. They don't even know it's a CAP agency, right? So help folks see that when they're working in that space, they're working as part of our family. You'll see here we have, again, the national need, our reach, and our impact. We talk about the number of people engaged, but look at that 1 billion number. Doesn't that jump off the page at you? Every year, the value of volunteer hours in community action, $1 billion. That is significant. We cannot do our work without the input of our volunteers. But community building is more, right? So we do have a layout here focused on community economic development. This is up in Michigan. This was the preserving of a railroad depot. It worked with the financial institutions in town. It worked with the art institutions in town. It worked with the CAP agency in town to rebuild and restore and move this depot. A partnership, a collaboration for economic development in a local community. Health and well-being. We use that terminology specifically. That is language that resonates in a more positive way with an external audience, health and well-being. Here we target, we know food distribution is a lot about what a lot of CAPs do. Some CAPs have moved away from it, but other CAPs, we still have a lot of CAPs who are food banks, a lot of CAPs who are food pantries. They do congregate meal sites. They might be doing Meals on Wheels. They're doing all sorts of food distribution services. So this is a spot for us to talk about the value of that work in the outcome of improved health and well-being. I do love the grocery bag with the huggy heart. I do have to call that out. And on the right-hand side, health right now in our country, the opioid epidemic. And community action is engaged in many pockets in our country in the opioid epidemic, helping families recover, helping communities recover. And you'll see Akron, Community Action Akron Summit in Ohio. We hold up and we had a session with them at our conference last year. They've really been demonstrate tangible financial outcomes to the county and to the state in terms of saving Medicaid dollars and impacts and outcomes to the customers, getting them into treatment, into that assessment phase faster than they were before they were engaged, a true outcome in the healthcare space. Housing. So many agencies are engaged in housing, and my guess is this is going to be a spot where community action grows in the future. The dearth of affordable, safe housing across our country is in short supply. More and more CAPs are building multifamily, single-family, housing developments, apartment units, supportive housing, shelters. CAP agencies are engaged in all sorts of housing efforts. You'll see here again we frame the national need, we frame our reach, and our annual impact. And we include weatherization here. We know many CAPs do weatherization, more than 500, because I can look at my number and know that's the reach. May not be the outcome rate, but it's the reach of our network that people underestimate sometimes. A lot of CAPs are engaged in that work. A lot of things are going on. So you can see here then we have the story on the right-hand side. Here's where we brought in veterans. We didn't have a room for a veteran spread by itself, but we've embedded that we serve veterans in this space. Now, in your state, you may want to have a spread dedicated to veterans, or if you're a local agency, you might want your SSVF program highlighting the work of veterans. And this is a group, San Luis Obispo, California. This is an actual family, a veteran family served by San Luis Obispo around housing. And jobs. The best way to end poverty, get people jobs, right? People want to work, and people do work. So many folks who are accessing services are working every day. One job, two jobs, three jobs, four jobs. So here we talk about the national need, the purchasing power of today's average hourly wages. We talk about the cost of childcare. We talk about our reach. So many agencies are helping people provide employment, build those employment skills, getting people placed. And then we talk about our impact, the number of people getting job skills, getting jobs a year. These are annual numbers. These build up over time. And again, we have a story here from Enrichment Services in Georgia. You'll see here this is another way that we can help frame that not every agency has community action in their name. Enrichment Services is a vibrant community action agency. So by using them in this story space, we're able to highlight that diversity in our network. And finally, you'll see here we talk about the community action vision, mission, and values. These are updated. If you haven't seen them, maybe this is the first time you've seen them. These are our updated statements. We're very excited by them. And I just love this picture. This is, again, stock photo that we've purchased the rights to, but talk about a hopeful, beautiful picture. She's just wonderful. So, again, our report's about hope and opportunity because that's what community action really is all about. Now, this toolkit that we have, it's up on our website. You can download things. You can download the colors. You can download all sorts of different things. And this Thursday, on the 24th, you may be watching this after Thursday, but we will have launched this publicly on Thursday, January 24th. And this toolkit will help you on the 24th as well as after. We want you to use this toolkit as part of Community Action Month in your ongoing advocacy, in your e-newsletters, all sorts of ways to use this. Now, we are doing a launch, and this webinar is part of those launch activities. We released it last week at our conference. We did a toolkit review for state associations, and on Thursday we'll be doing a Facebook Live at noon Eastern. We'll be doing a podcast release, our first episode, our first of 6 you'll want to subscribe to, and we're using the hashtag Community Action Impact, and we're going to be using this report all throughout 2019, and 2020. This is meant to be a 2-year report. We want you to think about how can you incorporate this. So many of you have beautiful annual reports. I'm not saying you got to redo your report or change your layouts, but if you don't have one, think about using this as a model. If you're in the midst of redesigning yours, think about what can you incorporate. Can you use pieces of this either in your printed annual report or up on your website, however you do that? Can you incorporate them into your newsletters, into your tweets, your memes, your Instagram posts, your Facebook posts? All sorts of different ways to use this. In the report we talk about, here are the colors that are on the cover, right, and throughout the report. Your communications folks will know what all those hex codes mean. I trust the process that those numbers will mean, and many of you get very, very close. We're not saying you actually even have to be exact, but for those who want the exact, those are the numbers as well as the fonts. We tried to use some accessible fonts here. If you wanted to be exact, you can. Here's the website, communityactionpartnership.com/impact report. It's also now up on our website as one of our sliders. You can click on it and get right to the page with all of the information. Social media. Here we are using Community Action Impact. We sometimes will also use Be Community Action. We are 1,000 strong. CSBG Works. We are a wise investment. All sorts of different ways, and there's no wrong way to do this. Excuse me. So there'll be sample posts in the toolkit. You'll see here we have one that talks about nearly 40 million people live in poverty. People of color are disproportionately impacted. With the link directly to the report to learn more. So, what can you do to help frame up these memes and get them out there? Here are some more infographics. Here's a model up in the upper left-hand corner with Mr. Kennedy from Wayne Metro. You could he has a quote from Mr. Kennedy that you can use. But you could also use the header and the footer, put your own customer's face in there, a quote from them, and use this and tie it right back to our report. You'll see the meme on the bottom, talks about the national impact, our reach. You can see how they moved some of the different pieces around to create individual boxes that work well on Twitter or Facebook or whatever other social media program gets developed in the next 18 months that we'll be using 2 years from now that we don't even know what they are yet. Here's the example in Ohio. The Ohio Association, just want to give a shout out to Catherine Clausen. Catherine has been fantastic helping us with this report, and thank you to Phil Cole for loaning us Catherine from the Ohio Association. She designed the first one, right, our annual impact from a national perspective, and then Ohio's reach embedded within that impact. And there are different ways you can do this, but use the picture, use the colors, use the graphics in a way to design her own elements. She did these herself. Your team can do the same. Here's an example she did for Arizona. Arizona calls the state association is wildfire, is the state association. She did a version using the red and the blue that the partnership uses, because some of the agencies may want to use that. And she also did one in wildfire orange that tied it right back to community action, still has the huggy heart on the bottom, and ties it with the logo, the graphics, the pictures, and the colors of the state association. All flexible, all doable. But you know what? You don't have to be a comms person necessarily. You'll see here are 2 examples done by Zandi McKinley on our team. Now, Zandi does some great work in Canva, but she's our program associate on our Learning Communities Resource Center project. She has an interest, though, in social media. She creates great visuals for us. She did this in a half an hour using some of the existing tools from the toolkit, some of her own visualization. She used her own font. All looks really good to me. And she did, again, 30 minutes she put this together, and she is not a communications person. She is, however, a Canva person, which is a free and low-cost program that even I've been able to make a meme from myself. So you may want to take a look at it. In the toolkit, we also have sample op-eds for you to use that you can use with your local paper, whether it's this Thursday or whether it's 3 months from now. You can use content in here for what you deem appropriate. We also have partner emails that you can send this out to your partners, your United Ways, your state fiscal policy institute, saying, hey, have you heard what's going on with community action recently? Let me share this report with you. So thank you very much to all the CAPs who provided stories in this report. Next time we do this, we will probably do a much broader call for stories. We'll probably do a broader call for advisory group members and be a bit more strategic. Or knowing what we know now, we might do things a little bit differently, but we worked with what we had at the time. And we try not to let the perfect be the enemy of the good. So we have it out, we have it usable, and we hope that you put it to use. Thank you to our board who said, yes, Denise, we're going to take resources from the partnership's reserves and invest it in what we think will be a high-impact report for the local agencies. So I hope that you will engage with this report. I hope you will email me if you have questions. Use Community Action Impact as your hashtag if you're talking about this report. We will see you on social media. Download the toolkit. Use it as your own. Don't use what you don't like. Use what you do like. You're not required to use any of it, but I hope that you use some of it. So with that, thank you so much for being with us here today. Share this video with your friends in Community Action and encourage them to be Community Action and share the Community Action impact. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.